using alternative dispute resolution mechanisms in resolving inter-party conflict will now be the new trend. This is courtesy in a unanimous decision delivered on Friday morning. A 5-member panel of the Supreme Court justices ruled that the Court of Appeal lacked the jurisdiction to affirm Abure's position as Labour Party's national chairman. The justices held that the substance of the case was centered on party leadership, which falls under internal party affairs, a matter over which courts lack jurisdiction. The ruling effectively nullified the Court of Appeal's earlier decision, reinforcing the Supreme Court's stance that leadership disputes within political parties should be resolved internally rather than through judicial intervention. This will be our focus on Nigeria today. Thanks for joining us. I am your carrier, Clinton. Joining me in the studio for this conversation is Dr. Dipo Olayokun, who's the Deputy National Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. It's good to have you in Nigeria today.
Thank you very much. And Nigerians, good evening.
And joining us via Zoom is Jide Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you on the program, Jide.
It's my pleasure, Keria. Happy weekend.
Thank you very much, Jide. Now, Jide, I want to start with you. How do you perceive the Supreme Court judgment on the inter-party disputes?
Is that question for me?
Yes, I'm asking you, Jide.
Okay. Well, I think the Supreme Court has maintained some measure of consistency in terms of saying that issues around leadership and membership of political parties is their internal affairs, which cannot be litigated upon. And you recall that about 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court gave similar decision in relation to the issue of who is the secretary, national secretary of PDP. It was also in line with that. Even the Afghan leadership crisis followed the same suit. Supreme Court wants political parties to take responsibility to determine who is their rightful leader, rather than court being the one to say this is your leader, this is not your leader. And I think it behoves political parties to behave themselves, to activate internal mechanism to resolve their conflict. And if they could not resolve their conflict internally, they can as well approach the Independent National Electoral Commission, which has a directorate of alternative dispute resolution that can help to mediate and arbitrate on their disputes. Even IPAC, Inter-Party Advisory Council, is also there to it also provides an alternative dispute resolution mechanism. So these are 3 other options. But what the court has said effectively is that issues of who is the leader of a party is an internal affairs of that party and cannot be it is not justiciable. That is my own words anyway. That is not something that the court should take liberty to, because even yesterday, in the case of NNPP, a similar decision was taken by the Federal High Court, where it says that according to Supreme Court decision, issues around leadership and membership of a party is an internal affairs of such parties. So you can see some measure of consistency in the way the court has ruled as to who is the leader of a party at the national and at the state level.
Very much, Jide. Now, to you, Dr. Olayokun, just like Jide mentioned, the courts have been consistent in saying that internal party disputes should be handled by the party. And you see, oftentimes, parties go to court to sort out their internal issues. Now, another decision has been given, citing the same you handle your case within. It shouldn't be brought to the court. The court lacks jurisdiction. So how do you perceive this judgment?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a welcome development because it makes the leadership of political parties to have what we can call security of tenureship. Because we have discovered that in this country, some people we can call meddlesome interloper will just gather themselves anyhow, go to court and get the court to remove a properly constituted leadership of a political party. How do you constitute leadership of a political party? It's very clear in the Constitution, it's very clear in the Electoral Act. The INEC, which is the regulatory agency for political parties, must witness the emergence of the leadership of a political party, especially the National Working Committee, because they are the one that runs the day-to-day affairs of a political party. And the Electoral Act says INEC must witness Section 82 of the Electoral Act or thereabout. That is when you set up the leadership of a political party. INEC could be there, take record. And each political party will submit its constitution to INEC that stipulates the number of years that the tenureship can take. That is 4 years. Yes, there is provision for removal through constitutional means, which must be witnessed by INEC. So we have just discovered that some people will just gather themselves in one beer parlor, hotel, hold a meeting, get some people they will elect as their members of NWC, will not be monitored by INEC whether they have followed the guideline of the political party. And before you know it, they will just go to a court and ask the court to compel INEC to declare them as the winner. And that's exactly what the problem that the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court, is trying to kill. That once, how do you determine the leadership? It must be the leadership recognized by INEC. So any other leadership outside that, the court cannot impose it on a political party. I think, like I said, it's a record development. You can't, there's no way you can avoid rancor, wranglings within a political party. So what INEC is telling, what Supreme Court is saying is that you guys should find a means of resolving these matters following the mechanism laid down within the constitution of the political party. Like Dr. Jide Ojo said, INEC is also there as the regulatory agency for political parties that can call political parties and say, what is the problem? And also, with the advent of the current leadership of IPAC, that is the Inter-Party Advisory Council, under the able leadership of Alhaji Yusuf Dantale, we are also looking at how can we have like an alternative dispute response within the IPAC, so that when issues are arising within a political party, because all political parties registered in Nigeria must belong to IPAC. That means before you can belong to IPAC, you must have been registered by INEC. And if all of us say, okay, let us come together under IPAC, we should be able to resolve our issues. It's not everything we take to court, because if a Supreme Court, with the way Supreme Court is going, we will notice that it will help us in decongesting the courts. Because unnecessary issues that we can resolve within political party, some people will go and push it into the laps of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Where other issues that should have been addressed by the court are not being attended to.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olaikun. Jide, of course, you've mentioned that there are mechanisms that parties can, key into to take care of their internal disputes. But we've seen over time where some party members feel that they are above the party. Now, with this judgment, do you think it can address these situations where members feel they are above the party? Okay, it's like we lost Jide, but okay. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
You consider that the mechanism to discipline its any members. They can suspend, they can expel, they can also met out other punitive measures against any area member. And a tree does not make a forest. I think a lot of political party reforms needs to take place. Issues around party funding is what makes one individual to feel that is above the party. Because when a single individual is bankrolling the operations of the political party, paying the salaries of staff, and also sponsoring candidates, it may be difficult for you to call that kind of person to order. But if members pay their dues and they don't allow for godfathers, any godfather that tend to step out of bounds can be disciplined. You know, what I perceive that is lacking right now is party discipline, party supremacy. Because we have seen situations where even some erring party members will take the leadership of the party to court and obtain court order that they must not be suspended or expelled from the party. And courts do grant such order. I think that's where the judiciary also need to have a closer look at itself. How can you be granting ex parte order, interlocutory order, or permanent order that a member of a party should not be disciplined? They should not be suspended. They should not be expelled. That kind of order is what builds impunity within the party system. So, situation that you have painted, Ukeria, is as a result of funding of the party, because the influence a money bag has over the party is very wide and very deep. And until when there is appropriate funding of political parties, in which case people jointly contribute to run the party with resources, then you will continue to have this culture of impunity. And I think that was what former General Ibrahim Babangida wanted to cure in the 90s when it established two-party system that were publicly funded, NRC and SDP, that were publicly funded by the government, so that nobody can hijack the party, and you can then exercise party supremacy and discipline members. But situations where you allow few individuals to be the one that bankrolls the activities, the operations, the management, the administration of the party, then you will not be able to call such individuals to order if eventually they erred or commit any infraction on the constitution of the party.
Now back to you, Dr. Olayokun. Of course, you mentioned that that IPAC has set up an advisory committee, that will take care of internal resolution, party resolution, to internal party dispute, to take care of all of that. Now, we've seen situations where parties, I don't really want to mention any party because almost all the parties in Nigeria have had their own fair share of disputes. And of course, you see an individual, that, just like Judy mentioned, an individual feeling he is above the party because, of course, they are funding the party. Now, I want to ask, what has IPAC been doing in the past to, curb these disputes within these parties?
Yeah, thank you very much. Don't forget that yes, we are all members of IPAC, but each party still maintain their individuality in that they have their constitution to follow and they have other things that guide the activities of the political parties. We need to respect that. It is only when they submit themselves, these parties, to IPAC, because, for example, if there's an issue within a political party or between two political parties, and then next say, okay, you guys, we are members of the same family. The parties might say, oh, we have our constitution that is guiding us. And that is one problem that is there, just like Jide said. There are some individuals that believe they are above their political parties because they have very deep pockets. And then they're able to take care of some of the things within the political party. That is why in many of the political parties, in the constitution, it is clearly stated that before you can take any matter to outside the party or to the court, you must have explored and exploited all the internal mechanism built into the Constitution to address certain issues. That is why it is very, very necessary, because there should be a way of discouraging members of political parties from going to court. That is why it is very, very necessary that, yes, to some extent, or to a large extent, the Supreme Court will be able to maintain some consistency in this issue of, guys, go back to the court.
Go back to your parties.
But at the lower rung of the judiciary, there's a need for the judicial agency or the Supreme Court to look at what operates there. Because if matters have been dispensed of at the lower rung, that, oh, you have come to a federal high court or any high court, and the court judge says, men, don't belabor with some of this problem, go back to your party, you will notice that there won't be need for them to be going to the higher courts. So that is why it has become very necessary for this type of consistency that we have seen at Supreme Court level. Let it permeate down to the lower rung, so that when these people realize that there was no point going to court because they won't get whatever they want there, that they will still refer them to their parties. It will help the parties to maintain discipline, just to echo what Jide said. Because it will help even IPAC. Because once there is avenue for some members of the party to go to a federal high court, we can get all manners of injunctions. And before this matter gets to the Supreme Court, we know a lot of damage will have been done. So I think to help the IPAC, to help the political parties, this consistency being displayed at the highest court, that is Supreme Court, let it go down to the lower court. Because the moment, like I said, a member of a party realizes that even if I go to court, they will still refer me to my party. He or she will want to submit himself to the authority of the party. And it will now help IPAC when we notice any issues that are happening either between two political parties or within a political party, to say, oh, you guys, come, let us see how we can discuss this thing. I think that is very, very key. The consistency of the Supreme Court must permeate down to the lower realm of the judiciary.
Okay, now, Jide, we've seen, of course, severally, some of the disputes are emanating from the leadership of the party. Now, how can party members hold their leadership accountable, in so much so that, it will not give rise to some of these unnecessary disputes?
Well, I think there is a need for awareness creation. Many members are disenchanted. They are aloof. They are too aloof from party activities. Except there is Congress and convention and party primaries. You hardly will hear of any active operation of any political parties. And members are usually not carried along. The leadership tend to do virtually everything. How many times, Wikedia, have you had any party calling for town hall meetings of members that is just to meet with you, to update you, to let you know what we are doing and what we are not doing? Unless there are congresses and conventions, that's when you hear any report of activities of the NWC, of the NEC of the party, or the board of trustees of the party. Look at how long it took the APC to even conduct, to hold this national caucus meeting. Almost, how many years? Over 2 years. And some members have to even raise dust before that meeting was called recently. And so what I believe the party members should do, upon registration as a member of a party, try to get a copy of the constitution of the party, try to get a copy of the manifesto of the party, try to get the copy of the electoral guideline of the party, and any other publication of the party. Read and digest, and then ask questions. Ask questions from your National Working Committee or from your state working committee. But that has not been an ingrained culture in this part of the world. You hardly will see any party undergoing or conducting any sensitization program or, general civic education. what you see at the best of time is mobilization for election. And it should not just be when election is coming, you are mobilizing your members to vote for your candidate. Even when there are no elections like this season that we are now, you should conduct a sensitization program for your members. You should be able to hold town hall meetings. You should be able to have dialogue. It can be zonal dialogue. It can be national dialogue. It can be even a statewide dialogue where you sensitize members of your party about, bring them up to speed about what your party has been doing, effort of the party. I don't know, sincerely, Eukarya, I don't know if any political party has a national budget for any year. They don't, if they do have, they don't make it public. You cannot say this is what APC intends to spend in year 2025 or what PDP intends to spend for its activities in 2025. And how do you now ask questions when you don't know? When party members don't even know how much has come into the coffers of the party, how much has been expended. Even the reports, the 3 reports that are mandated by the Constitution and the Electoral Act, which is the annual report, which is due at every March, ending of March of every year, an election expenses report, as well as election contributions report. These are the 3 reports that INEC demands from political parties. Some of these reports, when they are submitted to INEC, are not shared with members of the party. And they should know what manner of report has been submitted by their party leadership to INEC in a particular year, or what kind of election expenses report they have submitted on their behalf, or what kind of election contribution report. So INEC itself will receive this report and keep quiet, not publishing it in the media space for people to read. So the members of the party have been sidelined. They are not integrated. There is no communication, or let me say there is no effective communication with party members as to enable them to be aware of what is going on within their party leadership.
Thank you very much, Jude. I will have to stop you here so that Dr. Olayokun would also come in to talk to us about certain issues that you've raised. Now, Jude talked about party members not even knowing the ideologies of the party, not even knowing the electoral guideline, and even the budget of the party. Now, in your opinion, what reforms are needed for us to have a stronger and united political parties?
I think the greatest reform we need is to reform our minds as Nigerians. That one is very, very key, because there is a belief among Nigerians that unfortunately, when you want to do the things in the normal way, some people see it as the abnormal. But let me quickly say 1 or 2 things on what Jide said. Because in the organ of the political party, you have the NEC, that's the executive committee, you have the NWC. According to your constitution, you must hold your NEC meeting regularly. And at this NEC meeting, you give reports. Because whatever the NWC is doing, you are doing it on behalf of the NEC. And a part of your report is the financial report. So there's a way of getting the members of the political parties to know what is happening to their finances. And also the one he mentioned about INEC, all the reports, financial reports you are submitting to INEC, you are expected to publish them in at least 2 newspapers. So members of the party, members of the public, we know what is happening to the finances.
Dr. Dikpo, I'm afraid I have to stop you here. I have to stop you here. Thank you very much, Dr. Dikpo Olayokun, Deputy National Chairman, Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us. And also we had Jide Ujo, a public affairs analyst that joined us via Zoom. Thank you so much, Jide, for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. Enjoy the rest.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm your carrier, Clinton.